And we are live. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Hopefully your Saturday's off to a lovely start. We got NFL rolling momentarily. We got NBA on tonight with a 9-game slate. It is nice to have sports back on a daily basis. We're going to fly through this bad boy solo today. You guys have done a great job of helping us out so far this year, and it is sincerely appreciated from us over at the 5-Pack. But if you could do it one more time, we would love for you guys to press the thumbs up button. Help spread us around the YouTube world. And let's talk about today's NBA DFS plays on what kind of matches up to be a juicy 9-game Saturday slate after a nice Christmas day. So, as you can see by the cover, the beard, James Harden, is going to be somebody you're going to want to take a look at. We will get into him momentarily. It's been off to a nice start for the NBA DFS season so far. We're rolling 3-0 on cash games so far. We've had some customer success on the GPP side of things, guys. Why I bring that up is because I have not yet contacted my web guy to change the price on the NBA package. If you're hearing this Saturday, and if you can get over to the website, you can still take advantage of the $75 discounted price. I am, however, going to reach out to him later today to try to change that to the season-long price of $120. If you want the $45 discount, take advantage. That's on me for not getting it updated. Also, guys, the Overlay DFS website is dropping matchup shot picks for us on the daily. Was able to get rolling last night with a couple of plays in the Clippers game after being myself an extended losing streak, but want to get back into talking more overlay on a daily basis. We'll be back tomorrow morning talking through the progressive jackpots for the NFL slate. You can also check me out on Instagram at the link below, as I do a lot more of the matchup shot plays on there just because they're very quick videos to do. Again, guys, monthly customers, if you use the website, you get both sports. We got NFL rolling tomorrow. We got NBA rolling every day. Until NFL ends, though, guys, there is no NBA info on Sundays, just to reiterate. Day passes are up. Again, sign up if you're interested. We'd love to talk to you guys. And even though Matt is not here today due to some internet problems out in the Cleveland area, we're still going to stick to the new format this year, which is a cash game guy from me, a GPP guy from him, a mutual favorite, and then my long shot and his long shot of the day. So let's start with, to me, a guy who's going to be a cash game lock. And that is a man by the name of George Hill for the Oklahoma City Thunder today. A couple of things to really, really like about him. One, expect him to be popular. No doubt about it, he will be one of the more popular players on the slate, in my opinion. He's only 3,400. And a big thing here, guys, he has shooting guard eligibility, despite the fact he is more of a point guard. I have a feeling Shai will get shooting guard eligibility at some point. Hill might only be point guard, but for the time being, we have what it is, and that is shooting guard eligibility for George Hill. There are not a lot of ball handlers on the Oklahoma City Thunder this year. It's really, as things stand right now, a lot of George Hill and a lot of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Hill is only 3,400, and this is quite possibly set up to be the highest minutes and usage we have seen out of George Hill in years. So don't be surprised that if, as the season progresses, George Hill is like a 5K player. And we get him opening day for the Thunder because they got their first game postponed due to Harden's negligence. We get him at only 3,400 today. So I would lock him into my cash games. This is going to allow you to stud up in some other areas. The shooting guard eligibility is big time for me. He's a guy that will definitely be featured in the cash game lineups from the 5-Pack today. Next up, let's move over to Matt's GPP play of the day. Also a guy I feel to be more than viable in the cash game format is a guy by the name of Bismack Biamba for the Charlotte Hornets. This is the same game. This is the flip side of it. Zeller, I believe, is out. Well, I know he's out for today. I think he's out for 4 to 6 weeks total. I believe he has a broken bone, if my memory serves me correctly. None of that really matters. It just matters that he's not playing today and not playing for a while. So you get Bismack Biamba at sub 4K. I'm assuming he's going to be the starter tonight. Also, what I think is really, really important right here, we saw this in prior season. The Hornets had Zeller, Bismack, and Hernangomez. And usually they would roll with Biamba, but occasionally you'd get stuck dealing with Hernangomez. Well, Hernangomez is no longer a thing there. And without Zeller out, I think Bismack's in line to play for maybe, 25 minutes a game. And what he's capable of doing on the boards, I think this is a guy that could easily be 5K here momentarily as well. So while he is a GPP play from Bellman, I like him in cash games too. I think he's going to be popular. It doesn't matter, though. I just think he's a good play. Sometimes guys can be good plays in all formats because they're just too cheap for what they potentially offer you. He should be able to walk into rebounds in this situation. He's a guy that I am shortlisted on every type of format that I'm going to run out there today, and it sounds like Mr. Bellman is in the Same wavelength on this one as I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be as well. He's just a solid play at this price tag. We got a lot of pay down options on this one. So let's roll into one stud, cover boy from the day, the beard, James Harden. He's a mutual favorite play of ours, but I do want to talk through him because I do think there is some potential pitfalls on this one. So due to Harden's negligence, wanting to be out of Houston, not following rules, we got no John Wall, no DeMarcus Cousins, no Eric Gordon today. Well, that takes away 3 of the other good players from the Houston Rockets, basically meaning it's James Harden and Christian Wood out there and a whole bunch of scrubs playing alongside of them. So is Harden going to be popular today? I would assume so. There's a lot of pay down options. He's going to get paid up for. Another thing that's nice is like Houston doesn't have a game tomorrow. A lot of these teams are on back-to-back, but Harden is not. There's not a lot of other ball handlers on Houston right now, which means that on other days, Eric Gordon, John Wall can run the offense. You can run it through Cousins for a few minutes by dropping down to the block with him. Those guys are not around today. So I do think you see James Harden in more of the typical role we've seen him in the past, which is dribble, 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 shoot. Is he going to be motivated today? I don't know, man. It's a weird dude some days. I don't know how he's going to play. The upside here is real low. Now, could you get on board with the GPP fade? I could. My thoughts are if I run my typical 3-entry max today, the way I normally play is a lot of that money is tied up in a cash game. That lineup is included in my 3-entry max GPPs, and then I make some variances on the last 2. My plan, at least as of lunchtime here in the Central Time Zone, is to run Harden in cash, then play him in one GPP and fade him in the other. I could see a situation where Houston gets rolled. They just aren't very good with a lot of other players. I expect Harden to play well, but I'm not surprised if he's just not trying, if he's lollygagging. He seems to be a little bit of a head case specifically right now. The flip side of that is if dude wants out of Houston, it's easier to get people to trade for you if you're playing well. So that's why I expect him to play hard. I expect him to do James Harden things, although I'm not surprised if he doesn't play up to the normal way that we've seen him play in the past. It's a weird situation, no doubt about it. But there's a lot of cap space guys today. I've already brought up 2. We're going to get into a couple more right after this. So it's very easy to get up to him, which is why I expect him to even gain in popularity throughout the day. All right, next up. So here's my long shot play of the day, and it's Cole Anthony of the Orlando Magic. Their first round pick this year. He's 3,900. He's more expensive than George Hill. He has the same position flexibility. So a couple of things to like about him. But again, I think this is a long shot for a reason. I don't expect him to get much in the way of ownership. In fact, if I had to guess, and it's early in the day, but if I had to guess, I think he's like a 1% or something like that. So he is a true definition of a long shot, in my opinion. The Magic in Washington, and what we're going to see a lot this year, I believe, in the NBA, is some of these back-to-backs. The Magic and the Wizards are going to run it today, and then they run it back again tomorrow. I think that's good for a guy like Cole Anthony, who, if this game gets lopsided at all, which is possible, we've seen a bunch of that already this year, it can work out either way, just who's making shots. Maybe Anthony sees a couple of minutes as they save some of the other players for tomorrow's game. He played game 1. He played 19 minutes. He scored 20 DK points. He seems to be relatively aggressive early on. There's a bunch of other optimal cheap plays today. We've talked about a couple of them already. So I don't think he gets anything in the way of love. Again, 20 DK points in 19 minutes in the opening, and that was in a much harder matchup. So I think this guy's got some sleepy potential today. And even as much as I love George Hill, what if George Hill busts? I think you get Anthony at significantly lower ownership or play them together. You know what I mean? So again, it's a long shot. It is specifically meant only for the GPP type of contest. I wouldn't play this guy in my cash games, but that's why we wanted to add long shots to the show this year. Everybody knows about George Hill. You know what I mean? We're not sneaking up on anybody. I think it's a really good play, but it's not sneaking up. So we want to add the show this year some guys that you're probably not looking at. And this is a guy I think if I played 100 lineups, I'd probably play him a handful of times. It's kind of more of a long shot type of play. All right, next up, let's move over to Matt's long shot of the day. And I will say it wasn't specifically mentioned to me as a long shot, but of all the guys we talked about this morning, I think he's the most long shot, but I actually also like him quite a bit. So that's Josh Jackson of the Detroit Pistons. I enjoy the fact he has small forward eligibility today because it is one of the weaker positions out there, in my opinion, which is typical for most days. We've seen Josh bounce around the NBA a little bit right now, and we've seen a lot of inconsistency from him. We've also seen some really good DFS games from him. He's very much capable. I enjoy the matchup with the Cleveland Cavaliers today. One thing to like about the Pistons, they don't play tomorrow, so if he's playing well, there's no reason to keep him rested. The Pistons are a team that's going to be figuring themselves out as the season progresses. They don't really know what they got with a bunch of these players. But Josh Jackson is a guy that in game one played 29 minutes in the opener. He scored 32 DK points. He shot the ball well. He's a guy that I think has anywhere from 4 to 40 point type of upside and downside today, which is why he might be a little bit more of a long shot. But I like the matchup. I like what he's capable of doing for a bad team. The Pistons are a bad team. Blake Griffin is washed. Derrick Rose can't play 40 minutes a game or anything like that. I think he has a role with this team all season, and we saw it early on. Now, is he going to play like that every day? Probably not. And that's why he falls into a little bit more of the long shot category. But I'll be honest, I am even considering him in cash games today because I don't like the small forward position. I think he gives you some potential upside right here. And I don't know what the industry is thinking of him quite yet. I don't think he gets a ton of love because, again, the Pistons are a little bit of an unknown. He's bounced all over the place. But I like the matchup. We know Cleveland can give up DFS points. We just saw him get cooked, even in a win, by Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward. So there are points to be had right here. So give Josh Jackson a look-see, and let's see if we can't have some good luck with him today, fellas. Although I still label him more of a long shot, but I don't hate him if it is something that you like to do. That's what we got, guys. Don't forget to click on the thumbs up button. We will drop NFL Sunday information for you guys tomorrow morning. It's a busy week with the holidays, the introduction of NBA. We got random football slates all over the place. Appreciate y'all watching. And I don't know, the NBA package is still for sale for a little bit longer until I get it changed. That's on me. But if you want to take advantage, I won't stop you from doing so.